Welcome to this introduction to the Sacred Order of the Venus Templars. Not only introduction, it's actually a remembrance of something that was visioned by Nicole Christine back in 2006, 2007, and up until her death in 2008. And so this is being presented by me, Cayelin Castell, and Nancy Safford. These pictures that you're seeing here are when Nancy and we took them because we were leading a trip to France back in 2007. The second picture is literally in front of the De Grazia Chapel, where so many priestess initiation ceremonies happen with Nicole in Tucson. So it's really fun that we can get to show that because I guess it was a couple years ago the De Grazia Chapel burned and they're restoring it now. So anyway, a lot of priestess work happened there at that particular chapel. So is there anything you want to say in introduction, Nancy?
No, it's just been an incredible journey. You know, looking at the pictures just reminds me and takes me back to really a beginning time, you know, when we are all working so diligently together and really being in joy.
Beautiful. Yeah, you know, something for you to all know, Nancy and I were just talking about this, is that, and we'll share a little bit more as we go along, but, you know, we've continued to do Venus Templar work. We just haven't been calling it that. And I realize that putting all this information together and revisiting it, it's been pretty amazing. So we're really excited to share with you this piece. So, Nancy, do you want to share a little bit about how this is set up? This is actually the front page of the Temples of Venus manual that Nicole created. I think in 2007 or 2008 she completed it.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting, of course, because I live in France a lot, you know, which is one of the Venus temples, and also live in Sedona, another one. But these Magdalene temples, you know, Nicole identified as being the wombs containing what could be called the seeds of light for an age soon upon us, when Venus, our sister and guardian of the solar system, will aid us in our transition into the new Earth star. Yeah. And this is pretty amazing. And so we see a rose pattern in the center, and that pattern is what is made by Venus relative to Earth. This 8-year cycle is woven in sidereal space with Earth at the center, and it comprises 5 synoptic periods that you may want to talk about.
Yes,
Cayelin.
And actually it's interesting she says synoptic, because it's really synodic, meaning synodic means with. So the synodic cycles of Venus with the sun, and what happens over a 19-month period, Venus goes through a whole entire cycle, rising as morning star, beginning her descent into the underworld, going through 7 or 8 gates representing the chakras, where she has to release and let go of who it is she thought she was in relationship to that chakra energy. And then she dies, shamanic death and rebirth. She goes through a shamanic death. It's about 60 to 90 days while she's traveling with the sun. Then she rises as evening star, and so she moves far away enough from the sun that she becomes an evening star, and goes back through 7 or 8 gates, all represented by conjunctions with the moon in the evening sky, reclaiming everything she had to let go of, but now ideally in a healthier way. And this happens 5 times in 8 years. And so every 8 years, Venus comes back to a starting point, and begins that process all over again. So every 8 years, we go through a Venus return, and Nicole was super interested in this particular cycle. And of course, it does create the pentagram that you see here, the rose pattern that you see here in the center. And this is going to play into more of what we're going to share with you as we go along. But just to know that these temples of Venus, the cycle of Venus is our sister planet. It's about the same size as the Earth. There's so many different number magic things that happen with Venus that connect with the Earth that is just mind-blowing. information that maybe we'll share. Nancy and I will do some additional things later on to fill in those pieces, but just to introduce you to the idea right now. So we're going to talk about Nicole's vision in her words. So we're kind of just touching on these pieces. So Nancy, I think you're going to talk about the codes of light.
Yeah, so Magdalene was carrying these codes of light, and Nicole talks about it, addresses it in her book Under Her Wings. And then the codes of light, I believe, living in France so much and doing groups, and they're all over there. You could feel them. They started showing up for me, and people coming and wanting to feel like they lost something.
And so it's interesting because the subtitle of that book, Under Her Wings, is The Making of a Magdalene, and you wrote a book with what was it called? The something of a Magdalene?
The Making of a Magdalene?
No, your book. What's the subtitle?
My book is called A Magdalene Awakens.
A Magdalene Awakens,
Hidden Temple Secrets, yeah.
Right. So, this idea that we've been activating these Magdalene codes of light for quite a while. Anyway, we'll be talking a little bit more about that as we go along. We'll also talk about the temples of Venus that are located around the planet. They're really nodes. They're not actually, like people often imagine that there's some big cathedral or something that's there, but that's not always the case. Sometimes it's a big mountain, as we'll see as we go along. And so just something to know here too, this image that we're seeing is Lady Olivia, who's the one that inspired Nicole to start the priestess process in the first place. And Nicole is being knighted by Lady Olivia. And they both, Nicole died October 18th in 2008, and then Lady Olivia passed in November 14th, 2013. So we just want to really honor the gifts that both of these incredible women have brought to us. Without them, we would not have the priestess process as we know it. We'd not have the Magdalene process as we know it. We'd not have the Venus Templars as we know it. So, we owe them a debt of gratitude for their vision and what they've brought back to us.
Yes, and so, and of course, Lady Olivia started the Fellowship of Isis in Ireland, and she used to come here every year. So it was a real honor when she would come and be with us, and especially the knighting, when she knighted Nicole and some of the priests, but she knighted her on a higher level. And so it was a joy to be there. And so then in dealing with in the overview of the Venus, the temples of Venus, the manual, what's in the manual, and we're inviting you to maybe get one of the manuals, and it has all the information in it. But the egg mysteries, are what carries the seeds of light, and that's a very, very big part of the Venus temples, and Venus Templars.
And we're also going to look at the Templar initiation, kind of just what it is, and the code of honor, and some different parts of that. So we'll look at that as we go along, as well as the twin flame. Oh, yeah, the twin flames.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
And we're going to honor Maya Nartuman, who's the one that brought through the whole thing around the temples of Venus and where they're located and all of that. And then also we want to encourage people to remember Nicole's twin granddaughters and how we can support them. So we'll look at that as well. So here you're seeing me and Nicole. This was at my emergence ceremony in December of 1995. And the words that are here are from Nicole's manual. They're definitely from the manual. And so I just want to share them with you because we can get Nicole's words this way. So we're going to share a few of her words with you as we go through the next few slides. Basically, Nicole saw herself as a weaver of threads, and that her book, Under Her Wings, was a completion tapestry of a certain piece. But what she realized as that was done, and I think she came out with that book in around 2005, that she was still weaving together our tribal, our soul group level, using the temples of Venus loom. I have strung the warp threads firmly in place, and I am weaving in the weft threads as each of you present them to me. The material contained herein is the portion of our tapestry that I have woven thus far. Some of it may need to be rewoven, and there is definitely more to be added as we progress in this sacred journey of one group soul expressing as many brilliantly beautiful beings. The emerging Temples of Venus journey represents the evolving nature of our progress. Additionally, I sense we carry the new pattern codes in our DNA, and these codes are released each time we respond to a corresponding activational impulse, and that the emerging sacred order of Venus Templars is a major conduit of the expanding new energy field. Participation in the sacred order of Venus Templars does not imply that everyone is to discontinue working with the Magdalene Christ archetype. Instead, it quickens the frequency of Venus Templar initiates in a way that assists them to more consciously hold the archetype of divine creation that Anne Omar Barnett identifies as the integrated expression of Magdalene and Christ.
And as Nicole speaks, this is a great photograph of her, at the initiation of the Venus Templars in February of 2007. And as she's saying here, I'm just going to read this. As I am preparing, I am becoming conscious of many ways the Pied Pipers on this planet of choice get mesmerized by matter and thrown off course by negativity and mistakenness, reinforcing the importance of everyone awakening to and cooperating with the powerful higher forces available to our species at this crucial time of transformation. The time when our species most chose and aligned with the higher plan, the time for the group mind shift to higher consciousness, the time when we must ask ourselves if we are choosing the path of the old, the destructive, the darkness, or the path of the new, the creative, the light. Go within, and within. And doesn't the truth of these words resonate at your inner core, your inner essence? Can't you feel that my heart's desire for us all to advance as one is truly your own heart's desire? Can't you feel Goddess' love for you, flowing through me, and flowing through the planet, through the cosmos? So she had this big, dream of the one heart, and she aligned that with the Hopis, the one-hearted way. And that first trip that she was on that I did in 1996, we did a ceremony with the one heart vessel, and we buried it, under one of the points of the 5-pointed star in the landscape there at Mount Bucharest. It was really awesome. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was all about being one-hearted. I love how you brought that in. And in fact, one of the last things she did, and that I had the task of doing, was she had a big ostrich egg where she'd been gathering prayers and dirt and stuff from different lands and places that she had been. And we took that and put it in the heart of the land in Kansas City, the heartland
Nice.
of our United States. So it was pretty cool. So that happened in 2009 after she passed. So Nicole started this priestess process, and I was in the third circle she did in Tucson, but it was the fourth circle she had done. The first circle was started in 1994. This is 2019 when we were doing this recording, and basically it's been 25 years since she started her first circle. And I got to be part of that, and then we, as many of us had been through the circles, we were like, we want more. And she said, okay, well, maybe you could be mentors to other women in priestess circles. And we're like, no, we want more. Like, that was all good. That was great, but we want more. And so actually this woman, Kai Goodwillie here, she said, well, you're calling us the Magdalene Sisterhood. Why shouldn't we look more deeply into the Magdalene mysteries? So that was the initiation of the first Magdalene Circle. And this was at the equinox in 1996. This is me right here. And Nicole, of course, here. And interestingly, this is my mom. And so Marilyn Massey. So my mom we were the first mother-daughter priestesses in a circle together. And it was interesting. It was great. I loved it in many ways, but sometimes I felt a little challenged. And then she passed in 1998. Nicole passed in 2008, 10 years later. And Gina Dawn passed in 2009. This is Gina Dawn here. So of all of those of us who were in the first circle, 3 have already gone to the other side and are helping support us from the other side. So, and now what we're seeing is, this is a picture that was taken at Nicole's cabin when she lived in Sedona in 1997. And as Nancy was referring to earlier, when Lady Olivia would come and do these events with us, she came in 1997, knighted Nicole, and she also helped us with our first live Venus ceremony where we went through on the land, and Nancy's going to tell us where this was in just a minute, where we went through all the gates, and we had been given ribbons, and we tied our ribbons for the different chakra gates and the different places on the land. Then we went into the underworld, and this is what happens in the Venus cycle, as I was mentioning earlier. And that night we did a shadow dance. This is us getting ready at Nicole's cabin, and then we went somewhere for the dance. And to, as our wild women selves, we had so much fun. And then the next day, met back on the land. We went back through the gates in the opposite direction as Venus does in the sky, and reclaimed ribbons that we had left behind, and reclaimed a healthy relationship with all those chakra energies. So it was the first time really having an opportunity to do this live and with other people. So cool.
I'd like to really say that what's interesting is it happened over Halloween, which is Samhain, and of course Lady Olivia, the Fellowship of Isis. So this is a major weekend of her going into the underworld, because it's the time of fall, winter. We're going into the dark night of the soul. And so what we did is, that day we did the ceremony of like going into the underworld, or letting go, and that was outside. It happens to be right where we did the first priestess ordination in Sedona, when I was co-facilitating with Nicole. What was it, 1997, I believe. We brought it to the priestess process to Sedona, but that's where we began on a private property of stepping into the other world. And that's what we danced that night. We all danced. We were in the dark night of the soul, and it was really interesting dancing that. And look what they look like. Look at Nicole dressed there. Me too, Cayelin. I'm really excited. And so then it was really fun the next day. So whatever came up while we were dancing was really good. We could let it all go. And I think some people had big things, because, the walking in, it was each chakra. And I remember I did it with Keith. We were the heart chakra, going in, letting go of that. And then the same people had to activate the chakras as you came out of the underworld and into the light. And so that was really, really interesting. It was quite a process. And it was fun having Lady Olivia there. She was, I'm sure, she never knew what was going to be next when she got to Sedona.
And so, but what really struck me when I was looking at this again is that at the time, we didn't know that Nicole's cabin was right at the foot of the Venus Temple node in Sedona. And so, that didn't really come to light until about 9 years later. So we were already activating, doing this whole Venus ceremony, and not necessarily at the Venus Temple, but very close to it in Sedona. And, I was staying with Nicole in her cabin. It just was one of those sort of magical things that you just can't make this stuff up. You don't know till you know, I guess, right? What's really going on. So, so Nicole continues on by saying another mythical way of looking at this is through Arena's Patty Kreider, who wrote the Gaia Matrix Oracle, about the Grail legend, and that the possibility that, as some say, the historic Magdalene was the Grail in her time. So on the most profound levels, our entire spiritual quest or life is a question. And to ask a question is to grow towards assimilation of an old archetype and extract the essential nutrients of insight by changing suffering into compassion. And in this way, you can transmit the spiritual nutrients towards affirmations of creative growth. Perhaps the Grail is the compassionate heart with which we can regard our ailing earth. So that was really a powerful, insight or way of looking at it. And I've heard it like question is like quest on the quest. What is the quest? The question is that it is a quest, I guess, something like that. So anyway, this is the same. These wild women were still in another picture. It might have been the same gathering. Not entirely sure, but I think it was the same gathering the next day. So it was pretty cool.
Well, so whatever the version of the Grail legend is, something lost must be retrieved, something devastated must be purified, and something fallen must be redeemed. And I have to say quickly that I have been doing groups in France for over 20 years, and we're always dealing with the Holy Grail. What is it? Where is it? Is it an object? Is it something without, outside of you, or is it something inside of you? So the Grail legend involves a long and all-consuming quest for the Holy Grail. Yes, it is said to be guarded by a faraway castle. Where is the Grail castle? What is this Holy Grail? Some say it is a mysterious, life-nourishing, and spirit-sustaining object, a cup of redemption. Some say it is the attainment of luminous spiritual presence. Many have asked, but the answer is yet to unfold. For this reason, it is a significant, unfinished myth, one that can guide us into the new earth. And Joseph Campbell said, humanity knows itself best through myth. I contend that we are completing a living, unfinished myth and co-creating a new earth tapestry. You might want to speak of this photo here.
Yeah, she was also, what she's referring to here is this next layer of the understanding of the Venus Templars, and that really it's living inside of us. So this is literally at my priestess emergence ceremony. And one of the women in the circle, Nicole, they're bringing in the sacred space for us to do our emergence at that particular time. So it was just fun to see Nicole in her ceremonial sense, I guess. Anyway, so she says, I further suggest that in so doing, we are retrieving something lost, purifying something devastated, and redeeming something fallen by reclaiming honor among men and purity among women, enlivening sacred union with the all. As many of us contend, it is all story, and we are story makers making it up as we go, that we may enliven and evolve the ever-expanding journey of our souls. Thank you for co-creating this story, this tapestry with me, in celebration of each of you and our shared journey, Nicole Christine. So,
really, I just wanted to add that this is really the basis of her work. Creating, the priestess process. What is it? What are we looking for? What are we claiming? What is this? The honor that we've lost, the purity that we've lost, and in the sacred union with the all. What does that feel like? So that's what we've all experienced as we went through. Beginning the first level of our priestess process. And I just can't believe it was done.
We engage the priestess process, whether we come together as priestesses or we help facilitate a circle, or we, are engaging in our own personal ceremony. In that way, we are co-creating the story with Nicole. She's still, this was so much a part of her vision and her dream, is that, we could be the seeds of light for the new earth. And that the priestess archetype, as it returns and is coming back into greater awareness. And man, has it done that since the mid 90s. I see it everywhere now. So, and in essence, she was the one that really got the ball rolling on that. So we're incredibly grateful to her and her vision, and that she's still celebrating each of us, and how we are sharing our journey now, and how we're showing up to continue sharing the journey.
Wow. So here we are. And this is in North Carolina, right?
Yes.
This picture?
Yes.
At the Goddess Gathering.
Yes.
And
it was in 2005, and Nicole here is wearing her Magdalene robe, the red robe, her red Magdalene robe. And it's definitely a celebratory moment.
Yeah,
celebrating the priestess, the Magdalene, and whatever else was going on at that particular time.
Right. Wow. And so, it's just, the precepts and principles for the New Earth Sacred Order of Venus Templars. It's like, oh my golly, this is such a vision. I can't believe it. Could you do it? Or, any one of us? It's a big, big vision. It must have been her Sag rising. It's the big picture. And so here are
Libra rising. She was Libra rising. She had Sag, Moon, Venus, and Mercury. She had 3 planets in Sagittarius.
Oh, she did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah. So that's where it comes from then, But, we just spoke of this, the Code of Honor. I guess, should I read it? Yeah.
Sure.
About, like we just said, restoring the honor among men and purity among women through the wisdom of divine intelligence and the power of divine love and oneness with the all. Why don't you read the next one?
And then Venus Templar treasure, it's knowing that the treasure is within. Because, the Templars who came along, in the 1100s or whatever it was, it's like all the stories about how they had treasure, they hid treasure, they were finding treasure. But really, the point is that the treasure is within us. And when we seek it there, then we can access it there. So that everything we need to know, when we need to know it, is within. And that heart-centered divine love is the key that opens the treasure chest. Yes, love it.
Wow. So the inner temple mysteries is a considerable amount of Venus Templar work takes place on the inner realms through dream time connections with one another, the Venus Temple's oversoul and divine creation. And then inner link-ups also take place each full moon to inwardly tend the Venus Templars and to deepen bonds among members of the Sacred Order of Venus Templars. And it's just been amazing, what do we say, starting it, the start of it. And go ahead and talk about Maya.
I will, and we'll get to the a little bit more about this, but just want to say that Nancy and I were we've been with this from the very beginning, and as I said at the beginning of this video, we have also been kind of carrying this work forward, not always consciously. So anyway, so Maya is the one who really brought through. She channels Thoth. She's quite amazing. She does incredible readings for people. You'll get to see some of her artwork at the end. So this is what she had to say about this, and really what has inspired this whole Venus Templar thing. She said the Venus temples hold the keys to a large movement of celestial forces as they interact with the planet through the Venus nodes on Earth to reveal the truth of the sacred wedding in the heavens and Venus's essence in her role of celestial guardian of love and beauty to us on Earth. These temples are the wombs containing what could be called seeds of light for an age soon upon us, when Venus, our sister and guardian in this solar system, will aid us in the transition into the new Earth star. This process has already begun. And the temple names that we're about to experience here are in a language, and I'm not sure how you say this word, but I want to say Aloi'i if you're doing it Hawaiian way, but that might not be right. Anyway, the most ancient of languages derived from the electrical waves in the brain that when firing create actual fire letters. And so this is true for the electrical impulses in the heart brain, the neurons within the heart as well. So as we look at these Venus temples, we may not be able to pronounce the names that she gave them.
Definitely not.
But she also gave a little bit of the essence of what each of the temples are and where they're located. So we'll get to see that. Basically, I'm going to start because the Aratu temple, I hope I said that right, the Temple of the Golden Flame on the slope of Mount Ararat in Turkey, holds the codes of the first principle, the word, logos of the seed, and the golden flame. And she did Maya did a session for me, and when she did that, she was connecting me to this goddess Shushalmundra, and you'll see the chant we created to her later. But basically, the insight that she was getting is that Shushalmundra is the precursor to Magdalene and to Isis. So pretty cool. And then there's the Temple of the Pure Flame near Alexandria, Egypt. Awa. Anyway, the bright star, the white light flame that carries the pure essence of the stellar transmissions.
Wow. And so, certainly living in France, something called me there when I moved there in 2006, but I've been going there since 1996. But the one in France, in my area, is called Manatancha, and it's the Temple of the Midnight Sun. And the temple in France is a place of sanctuary, still point, hope for the future, inverted ray flame of midnight that will in the future release the guiding rays of Eschaton. And I remember one time, I just wanted to say, one time, when I was living there, I remember walking late in the summer down by the river there, and all of a sudden I felt like, oh my golly, it was about dark. It gets dark there in the summer at about 10:30. I can remember, it's like, wow, the energy, the light feels like it's getting so much brighter than it is in the daytime. I just remember saying that and feeling that. So there's a lot of truth to that. And so then another one, which is nearby in Spain, is Eshuna, the Temple of the Heart Tone. And it's beneath the Alhambra in Spain. And its Heart of the Dove is the violet flame of divine accord, harmonizing the rhythms through the holy tone. And I have been there, and I remember I'm in the French Templar Order, which happened, I was invested after the Venus Templars, but I was invited because I was living there, and I have a man who talks for my groups, who is head of the whole Templar Order in the area. And our first event that I went to was at Alhambra, and I never forgot. It was the most beautiful, sublime place, carrying this incredible energy. So it was an honor.
Isn't it interesting that it is one of the Venus Temple nodes, and the Templars are doing their thing there, like, connecting, maybe not with awareness, but I just find that fascinating. Yeah.
They don't think, but they don't know this awareness. I
Right?
don't think.
Yeah, exactly. They have a different awareness, right? Not good or bad, just different. Yeah. So the Temple of the New Covenant, Chanaliel, in the Canary Islands, it's an Atlantean Venus temple node, and it represents the complete hologram of the New Covenant, the light programming, initializing of the new Earth star, the blue flame. And interestingly, from December 27, 2007 to January 6, 2008, it reactivated after having been dormant for 40,000 years. And one of the women that was in that was at that February Venus Temple first gathering that happened in Sedona, went there at this time while it was being activated and did ceremony and activation there, so she could help us all connect with the activation of that particular Venus temple.
Okay. So in Sedona, we have the Temple of the Ruby Fire. So it's the path of qualifying the nature of the divine feminine. It is the ruby fire, the burning way of all dross to see the true form. And that, of course, is part of some of the work you do before you initiate yourself into being a Venus Templar. And it's Rahu Kesh, yeah.
Ruha Kish?
Ruha Kesh, Quiche. Yeah, something you eat. It's not eatable.
Right? So just keep that in mind about the burning away the dross, because we're going to see the people that activated that temple in February of 2007, and the fun thing they came up with around that. So keep that in mind. Yes. So the Auii Nemkaka, Temple of the Gem Body, Kauai, underneath the San Marga Monastery grounds, a Lemurian Venus temple node, the Prima Matra, or first matter arisen to the new octave, emerald flame. And this was also one that was not active when we first got together, but it became active later. I don't remember the exact dates on that, but I think it was later in 2007. But prior to the Canary Island one that became activated. So anyway, we thought what we might do is just share with you a little bit about the initiation, the preparation, the initiation degrees. This is all covered very deeply in the Venus Templar Manual. So the idea is that basically it's about, engaging in living ceremony, any initiation that you do in the priestess process, right? Engaging in living ceremony with a Venus Templar guide, and perhaps an ideally witnessed by one or more initiated Venus Templar members. And Nancy and I both actually, I think a couple of different times together, we have initiated people into the Venus Templars. It's been a while. But we're thinking about perhaps making that available again, and maybe inviting people to come to Sedona and connecting with the Venus Temple there, and making sure that if people are interested in carrying this on, this energetic vibration that Nicole was bringing through before she passed, making sure that people can still get that.
Yes. So I believe you covered that about the initiation preparation, that the potential initiates who have emerged as new earth priests or priestesses engage in an orientation process facilitated by the Venus Templar coordinator. Yes. And other potential initiates engage in Venus Templar preparatory process co-designed with the VTC. Vortex Templar coordinator, right. That is.
And there's different initiation degrees that you can, you get the first degree or whatever. I forget. I think originally it was different colors, and now maybe it's star points or something. I don't know. It evolved a little bit, so we're not 100% sure, but it is outlined in the manual, something we would look at more deeply. If people are interested, you need to let us know. And that the ceremonies ideally would take place at a Venus Temple node, but it doesn't have to be there. But I think all the ones that, like the two that you and I did, Nancy, one was in France and one was in Sedona.
Yeah, because we did a group together in France after I was knighted in Scotland, actually, by the Grand Prior of France, and something happened to me. I was like, couldn't figure out what was going on. My heart was so big. But that's where we did the Venus Templar initiation. It was really awesome. So we were right in the Venus Temple, right in it.
Yeah, pretty cool. So what you're looking at here is the Templar seal, the Venus Templar seal or logo that was created. And it really kind of helps describe the essence of what this is about. So what you see is like a Templar Languedoc cross here, and the cross, the cross has these 3 points that are connected to it, but you can see the cross in the center. And they're connecting the solstices and equinoxes. Here's the Capricorn Cancer axis. Here's the Aries Libra axis. So they're connecting the divine feminine axis, Capricorn Cancer, and the divine masculine axis of Aries Libra. And at the solstice points, and it's also showing the points, the cross quarter points, the wheel of the year, all kinds of crazy fun things are going on with this logo. So do you want to do the rose at the center?
Um, okay, the rose in the center, I believe in theory it's like the sub rosa. Underneath the rose is where the mystery is where the real wisdom is. And I know that in studying, the whole idea of the rose, that's really what it's about. That's where the mystery is. A lot of orders, the Sacred Order of the Rose, that's what they talk about because I did research on that. But yeah, it's like it says, many mystery school traditions show a rose at the center of the cross, suggesting the hidden meaning lies sub rosa, or under the rose. The rose is a sacred pattern that Venus makes in her celestial travels and shows the connection to the Venus Templar nodes, to the temple nodes. And so, and then this is just saying
it was kind of more of an imagery of, yes. It's like not really a rose, but it's
right
based on the idea of the petals of the rose and the how Venus moves through the sky, kind of thing.
Yeah, and so you just work with being open about that, because in a way it also looks like almost an egg too, but it's very nice. It's like the yeah, it's like the pattern, and it's not just back and forth, it's moving, so it's really beautiful, the pattern that she takes. It's very beautiful. So
and so this was something that Lisa Michaels and Prescott Hill put together for a gathering in 2007, and then it later became the Venus Templar logo and seal. So this is it. And so sometimes you will see it not colored, but it's stamped at the center of the certificate that you get. So that's what it's all about. And what we see here is, this was in Sedona. This was in February at the Cross Quarter 2007, when this whole thing was ceremonially initiated, not just words on paper or being talked about, but actually there was fabulous ceremony that was going on. And this is the procession to the ceremonial place that we're going. We're going to go through these somewhat quickly, just so you can get a sense of what it's about. So here's the same people, there's a whole string of people that come along behind, but then a couple of little orbs here that were in the picture. Nancy took these pictures, fabulous pictures. Thank you, Nancy. And here's the Venus Temple node. And Nicole used to live in a cabin like off over here somewhere, right at the foot of this Venus Temple. Like, whoa. I mean, she didn't know the whole time she was living there, and that didn't become clear until after she had moved away.
And there's a creek right beneath it too that flows. The water flows right beneath it. It was in front of Nicole's house as well.
Yeah, Oak Creek. And then what you see are these flags, and they you don't see all of them, but they're representing the different colors of the Venus nodes. Of course, the ruby red for the Sedona one, and the golden one for the one in Turkey, and then the white one was in Egypt, I think. So, and there's more that are coming along that aren't in the picture. In fact, here's the purple one, kind of the midnight sun one for France.
Yay!
And another shot of the Venus Temple node. You can even see more of it here. So pretty cool that this was all happening right there, like right with it. And more orbs. I just now noticed. So now we're just going to look at, we broke up into groups, and each group did a ceremonial activation for each of the Venus nodes. And we did the one for the golden flame. Peter and I, Mary Lynn, Carol Rydell, Lydia, we came up with this rap that Peter was actually the one that came up with. It was really fun. So, we're a Venus temple if you haven't heard, so listen closely to our word. The golden flame transmutes the pain. Sowing seeds of harmony is our game. We are the temple of the golden flame, catalyzing the seeds of change. Shushil Mundra gives us the word, so listen closely so she'll be heard. And then we chanted Shushil Mundra a lot after that.
Wow, and we were all laughing. It was so clever and funny and real.
Yeah, it was fun. It was very fun.
Yeah, it was very much fun.
Yeah. And then these were the people that were involved in the activation of the Venus temple in Egypt.
Alexandria.
And then here's Nancy. with the Venus temple and the midnight sun.
Yay.
Yeah, and Marlis, who's there, she passed away maybe about 3 years ago. She was a Flagstaff priestess. Lisa Michaels, of course, here. And Deborah and Jaime, awesome a couple that were doing priestess work at that time. And then this is the Alhambra in Spain. And some of you may recognize Catherine Astar. And then Alejandra, who at the time was Eliza. So when you get the manual, if you haven't got the manual and you get the manual, her name has changed. So we changed it here so that people wouldn't be confused if you didn't know her as Eliza. And then we have the Canary Islands, the people who activated the Canary Islands. And this is Shanti, who went to the Canary Islands shortly after this event when that temple node site was activating. And if there's anything you want to say along the way, Nancy, stop me because I'm trying to go fairly quickly here.
No, it's good.
Yeah. So here's the Temple of the Ruby Fire, and with Nicole, of course, and Tucson priestess Karen Riker, Gary, who is Carol Rydell's partner, has passed now too, and they called themselves the Ruby Flamer and the Drossettes. So
let me just say, yes. That's Eliza Bloom right there in the middle, and she was just here. She had a retreat group, and I just did a talk for them, and it was really great. So she comes back every year and does a retreat, and I usually talk or speak or do something. Yeah, cool. But she's wonderful. She loves Sedona.
Yeah. So this is the temple where you clear the dross, basically. So they did a ceremony around that. It was kind of fun. And then the Kauai temple, the temple of the gem body, the people that were in this particular creating their ceremony around that. And I think that's all of them. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the egg mysteries.
And of course, that's a big part of the Venus Templar, really the wisdom that you gain once you're interested in it, all about the egg mysteries. And I want to say that this is an egg that Nicole gave me. I think it was a little after our last trip in 2006. I'm just going to read this. And of the day none has spoken, nor have their eyes seen that which is manifest therein. The coming is upon wings of light that circle in the gray dawn as a nesting Anka bird. The egg of the earth is born anew, cracked from within its sacred womb. Out from its center the chick arises, its beak a slender knife that cuts through the weave of the world. Lo, a web of gold is spun, a pattern of the ageless stars. Souls move upon its fine threads, gathering eternity in a wave of exaltation as they plunge into the heart of the blue star. And certainly, that group that Nicole and I did in 2007, I think many of you, the priestesses who may see this, were on that. And we had eggs, and we did a lot of work with that egg. And every site we went to, we put our prayers and thoughts and everything we could into that one specific egg, although several brought eggs. And we took it to a special, Cathar Castle, where we were we had been back in that lifetime in 2016, were attempting to get to once they were closing the temples down in Rennes-les-Bains, that's really where it was, and we were in a dark passage, to go to this Cathar Castle, which was the farthest one out, untouched by the Inquisition. And they stopped us, so we all died in that that tunnel. But that's why we had to come back this time. And we ended it. We took that egg. We went and did prayers and ceremony at this Castle Caribous. But then we didn't break the egg until we went to the center of the five-pointed star, It's called La Dieu, and it's written about in the
The manual. Yeah.
Yeah, the manual, yes, that's where it is. There's a lot about that. But this is where finally we continued. We took the egg that we were carrying with all the ceremonies and the wisdom and really the codes of light that we had all been carrying and put into that. And symbolically from that time, and we walked out to the end and did a ceremony and broke the egg, and we could see all the beings receiving it. I remember seeing them all in the white robes and all the realms receiving what we left. And so interestingly enough, I was guided with my last group that was in October. I was guided to do that with the egg, and we did it. So it's something's coming back.
It's so amazing. Anyway. I just want to say, Nancy, I think you said 2016. I think you meant 1216. In the year 1216, right?
Oh, excuse me. Yes, 1216.
Yeah.
1216.
Yes. So then this is
we got stuck,
the other
and we need to complete it.
Yeah, all of these ceremonies that have been done, it's good for people to know, what Nicole, what we've been a part of, what's, creating this field that we're all in now, and to be able to honor and celebrate that. And just another really quick piece is because the eggs are like the seeds, right? So the egg mysteries are very much woven into the Templar initiation process. We're just barely touching on it here. And there's way more that you can get from the manual, but there's also, more to be said about all of that. But I just want to say, I was in California, San Diego, taking a hike with my daughter this last month, and we saw more wildflowers than she's ever seen in her 15 years of living there. And I realized that what this really was suggesting was that these seeds have been there all along, but we just didn't know they were there because there weren't the right conditions for them. So these eggs or these seeds, the eggs and seeds that we're planting, we don't know necessarily when we're going to see the results of that. But it's important that we take the time to plant those seeds and to activate those eggs and to activate those light codes. And so the work that has been done by all the groups that have gone and, that you've taken, Nancy, that all the circles that Nicole has had, all the circles that other priestesses have had, all the things that we've been involved with, we don't know exactly how and when that might bloom into something really magnificent. So it's so cool that we're a part of all of that.
Well, I just want to say, isn't it really in alignment with what's going on in the heavens right now? It's about going to the depths and rediscovering who you really are. Wake it up, and just take the path of exaltation instead of anything but that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Changing your own codes, waking them up.
Right? So this next piece, I'm just going to try to touch on it briefly because I know we're running a little long here, but when I was talking to Nicole about this whole Venus Templar thing that was happening in February of 2007, Peter and I got married in October of 2006, and we had decided that it was my third marriage, his second, and we wanted to do it secretly, and we wanted to do it at a medicine wheel in Long Canyon, and we asked a woman named Cher Rose to do the ceremony for us at her medicine wheel, and in the medicine wheel, she had infused all this energy about twin flames. We did not know until we're actually there doing the ceremony. And she's bringing in this whole twin flame piece. So, I'll just read real quickly what she said. She said, now it is time to reunite the bride and the bridegroom and forge balance between these polar opposites. This is the key to activating the next quantum level, the new beginning and the twins reunion. The way of the return is described first through the spiritual development of the individual as far as possible in the divided state, and then the union of the soul with its twin, then a reuniting with the group souls having been separated long before. The joy of the twin reunion is great, but it pales before the rapture that will attend the reassembling of the group souls, each composed of united twins, some who are embodied together, others consciously connected to their twin in other dimensions. And so we brought this piece, and the whole thing about Peter and I getting married in Sedona secretly was we were going to keep it secret for a year and a day. And I know the priestesses will understand why we chose a year and a day. But when it became clear that this whole twin flame thing was part of the Venus Templar energy, we decided to come forward with that. We created a little meditation for people and ways of activating that twin flame energy, because it was so unexpected for us. Like, we were not trying to claim that we were twin flames. We've been now married 12 and a half years, and it's better than ever. It's like so cool. Like, it gets better every single day. We just love being together and what we can accomplish together. And I think that that's really what the intent of a twin flame relationship is meant to be. So at the gathering, we had several couples that really resonated with the whole twin flame thing. Now, interestingly, and I mentioned this earlier, Gary passed. So Carol's twin flame connection is now on the other side, supporting her from the other side. But these are the ones that were there. And that the twins will find their way back to each other, and in a time of the ascent, locating their own group, returning in the order of their coming. And because each carries the image of the other in the depth of his or her being, each has put their seal on the other. So it's like we start to recognize those who are part of our soul group. And this was something Nicole was really excited about. She just was over the moon about how this was coming into awareness at the time of this activation of the Venus Templar thing. So here's the 24-pointed star foundation degree. Nancy and I are the only two people who have this of all the people who've done the Venus Templar thing. Neither of us, we talked about this earlier, neither of us were trying to get it. We just somehow magically wound up having done all the things that were required for that. So we got awarded that in 2008. And I have on my wall, this is a painting of Venus. This is like a Venus thing here going down through the 7 or 8 gates, a spiral. There's like some other imagery and stuff that's kind of hard to see, but it's like an abstract. This is was created by a priestess in Flagstaff, a Nana, a weaving of a Nana. And then here's my degree. So it's my Venus wall. And then behind me, you can see my 5-pointed star Venus with the spiral thing and so on. So and it's on the same wall. So like you can see, there's the rest of it. So it's been working me all this time. I just realized, I was like, oh, I created my Venus wall. This has been right behind me. It's at my back all this time. So anything you want to add to that, Nancy?
No, it's been quite a journey, and I believe that the Venus, I think of, because I felt like I was called on a mission to live in France and to be there all this time. And that's part of it is revealed in my book that came out in 2017. A lot of information about the inner temple, and so that's, it's all my stories, in Venus. And then at the end, when the being that appeared to me finally tells me who she is, and her name is Lady Venus. So there's more to the story in my second book.
So check that out. So this is so I started doing Venus alchemy work in 2014, leading people online, so you can be anywhere in the world online, with Tammy, another woman that works in the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School, doing a ceremonial journey through the Venus cycle, the whole 19-month cycle. And we gather once a month online and do ceremony and get people ready for each Venus gate and or the underworld time or whatever time it happens to be. And so in 2017, we had Maya, who brought through all this information around the Venus stuff, do a banner for us for our website, because we wanted something that would be ours. And she created these 2 logos. She's really, she does logo work, but she went far above and beyond. For us, she she activated like Venus rising, like the goddess rising. Such beautiful artwork. So if you feel inspired, it would connect with her, to have her do this kind of work or do a reading for you, a session for you, highly recommended. And if you feel inspired to work more closely with the Venus cycle, please join us at Venus Alchemy. You can go to venusalchemy.com, and whatever current cycle we're in, pops up on the front page, like, get the details of the current cycle, whatever that's about. And we're starting one usually every 8 or 9 months or so. So we'd love to have you join us, because it's really powerful. We've had a lot of priestesses go through the process. So now, exciting news from Nancy.
Well, let's see. This is, for my next trip in September. I wasn't sure if I was meant to be doing another one, but I just was in Israel, went to Magdala conference there. And when I came back, I was told, yes, I was meant to. And so so it's up, this date, and we are in the Venus Temple. We're always doing work here. Everything we do is connected with that. And I'll probably, make an effort to do more Venus Templar work, little pieces like releasing dross all along our journey. But this mountain Bugaresh is on the left. Quickly, that mountain is one of the points of the 5-pointed star, and the Venus Temple in the landscape has been measured totally accurately, and on each point there was something, and Rennes-le-Château is on one of the points as well. But Bugaresh Mountain is a holy mountain. The Essenes once lived there. There's about 109 caves down below it, and even, it's got a lot of energy, and people talk about it carrying Arcturian energy, and we do meditations there with my group. And so to the right is the Caribous Castle. And, when Cayelin and I did our trip in 2007 in the fall, we went to the fantastic castle of Caribous, which I'm going to this year again. It's been a while. And these are the steps. It's almost like going to some high temple. But it's also, just outside of the Venus Temple. But what Cayelin discovered when we went to the top was all the timelines converging right there. And I believe it was known as like a sun temple. And the Cathars, they were never affected there, and so they could go there after the Inquisition, or, if they were trying to not get caught or whatever, be killed. But so Caribous is an incredible temple, and that's where we did a ceremony in 2006 with Nicole. That's where we went, did our ceremony in the great temple, really of the sun there, and then we continued. But so we will be going there again this time, and so isn't it interesting that we'll be doing that? So these are the steps up, and anyway, it's a beautiful place. So if you want to contact me,
I just want to say that this picture, you can't see the top of the mountain because of the way the sun is on it. Yeah. It's like being so illuminated. And I took this picture when we were in France in 2007, and it feels so mystical and so alive and so like, whoa, like, okay, this is the Venus Temple. We're here. We're having this experience, and whoa. So if you haven't been, you definitely need to go. Or if you can go, it's like make it happen, because Nancy may not be doing these trips forever.
I know. I didn't think I was going to, but so if you want to check it out, I think I posted something on the Priestess website, or on the on Facebook. But you'll contact me. Just look at my website, nancysefford.net. Okay, so
beautiful. And now these are Nicole's twin granddaughters. One is named Nicole and one is named Megan, and I don't know which one's which, so don't ask me. But one of her greatest wishes before she passed was that her granddaughters would continue to be supported by the priestess community. So if you purchase the Venus Temples manual, the money does go to support her granddaughters. It's only $17. If you don't have it, there's 115 pages of a lot of content, and we've just barely touched on it here. So more details, more information, a way of really tuning in and getting the words directly from Nicole and her vision and what she had for, she was bringing into and really putting seeding. She was seeding it, planting those seeds for the rest of us back in 2006, 2007, and on into 2008 before she passed. So it's been.
And I just wanted to really honor her for all that she brought forth. It was so big, and look at all of us that have benefited, that it's changed our lives, and we've changed the lives of others, et cetera, et cetera. But it's just amazing. And so I'm just so honored that I was lucky enough or fortunate enough to meet Nicole and to work with her.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way, Nancy. Really, we just want to end with extreme gratitude to Nicole Christine for her vision, originally around the priestess process and how it just kept evolving into the next thing and the next thing. And we have been so blessed, and we benefit so much from that every single day. So hopefully we'll see you all at the Global Goddess Gathering, and if not at the virtual gathering in 2019, at the I think there's going to be a literal gathering, a live gathering in 2020, which is an amazing magical year of configurations from the great above to the great below, worth tuning into and having ceremonial support from our priestess community. So thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.